Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I'll give a conservative perspective about the world around me. Feedback is immensely important. 2 ways to do that is through email and YouTube. And guess what, guys? As I said about the advertisement, you can hear my podcast on Paramount Plus, the app. Now, it worked out for the best. It's a AI generated video with visuals and upbeat sound, but everything for speaker where to look for me is all included in the content. Of course, with my flair, if y'all know what it's like to use AI content to add in what you actually want to say and what you want to feature, I included that on the back end. And then also I just up my icon that I use with the little glasses and relax. So it's a little pink flare, and I have my icon in that ad spot. So it's 30 minutes. So check that out. It's all about my podcast, The Harboring Light. That's what to look for. When you hear something on Paramount Plus, an ad that you can't skip, and it says something about The Harboring Light, hey, that's me. And also feel free to give me a shout out on what you think about the ad. And you can email me or you can fill up comments on YouTube. I'm hungry. Hold on, baby. All right, so I'm pretty much on all different platforms, so it won't be hard to find me. All right, so here we are in the month of March. So the month of March, I'm going to focus in on the themes of self and personal stories, personal improvement. That is a umbrella of a lot of different topics. So I'm going to start this topic out by talking about the documentary that focuses in on The Biggest Loser from Netflix. Here we go. Alright, guys, and my daughter's with me, my youngest daughter, so you hear the noise in the background. She's just being her sweet little self. Okay, so I'm going to do this the same way that I did with the documentary about America's Top Model. So what that entails for new listeners, it means that I'm just going to set up the show differently. Instead of talking about facts, I'm just give my opinion about the documentary and give my opinion about the show. Okay, so in the documentary, it focuses on the contestants, some of them that wanted to come and talk, and the winners, and some of them didn't win, and share their stories and their thoughts about the aspects of a competition like that. So, again, the 2000s was the prime time, in more ways than one, for television in itself to reinvent itself. And an easier way to do that is through reality shows. And this whole thing where, you don't have to hire actors, you don't have to have a major set studios, expensive cameras, and so forth. So what does that mean, and what does that entail when some of the contestants who are on the show, they're not in on the smoke and mirrors, so to speak. Now, it was the whole thing where it came out that, there were stipulations where some of them were former athletes, and they just gained a whole bunch of weight, for the show. And then, showing you, giving the appearance as if they're on there for a bigger goal. And the contestants that they had on in the documentary, they were all people who were in themselves saying the reality situations of that they were on there to try and self-improve themselves. Self-improve. I'm sorry for saying that twice, but and, it's just one of those things here. So they also had the producer and two of the producers and all of that. I'll be right back. That off. So, and then I'm also in my van. I find that the acoustic sounds kind of different in my van. So let me know what you think. Well, give me comments about that if you choose to. And email would be better, but feel free on YouTube. All right, so, and they said about how they were on there because they want the whole idea for all different points of view. Stop, Piper. Stop, baby. They said from all different points of view. I told you to stop, didn't I? Go sit in the back. Well, you have to be quiet. Okay. And so what they did, and they said, for the most part, is that they were looking for people that were unhappy with their weight, because they made it a point to address that. Of course, there are a plethora of people who are, fat, with the cliche, fat and jolly, but they weren't looking for that. They were looking for people who actually wanted to change. And so, Piper, I'm not telling you again. Stop. Be quiet, please. And so, because of that, they started out initially as I guess you can say, wanting to be changed, and change what it meant to have a show that primarily focuses on self-discipline, self-determination. But I'm not telling you again. Stop it. I'm sorry, guys. Stop it. You done? All right. Sorry about that, guys. Anyhow. So, because of that, all of these contestants from different seasons had different reasons and different images that they were portraying. And so it was one particular contestant that if she wasn't on the show, and it makes on the documentary, it makes a whole lot of sense why she wasn't on the documentary, because it's alleged that she was, she was pretty much like a plant paid to just be there, be a spokesperson, and that's why she was able to contain her weight and lose her weight, because they went into the details that these people were working out for 18 to 16 hours a day, and a normal regimen of exercise with people who have normal lives, who work and do everything else, have a family to raise, or they're single and they just work, and that you don't have time to dedicate that much to exercising in the gym. And so that was part of the reasons why it wasn't at all realistic of showcasing, this is what it takes to improve your health. And so I find it quite interesting when they didn't ask Jillian Michaels to appear on the show. They only asked, the guy there. And of course, she wasn't in, the documentary, so she couldn't speak for herself. And it was all this thing where, attacking her, saying that, she was the one who wanted to introduce injecting coffee stimulants or, stuff like that. When in reality, what she was saying was, this is ridiculous. We need to slow down and think about what we're doing. And, some of the contestants were, from what I understand, they were being eliminated for gaining weight. But, okay, yeah, sure, that makes sense if you actually are gaining the fatty tissue, the fat back. But it was contestants who were gaining weight because they were building up muscle. And so they were, skewing things for their own hidden agendas. And so one of the producers, he was talking, he was saying, well, you know what? He said he was along the lines, he was in the gym, and he said that there was an ad saying looking for a personal trainer, but the thing is that it was this obese person was being honest about they wanted to change. And so what normal person says, hey, sees an ad like that and says, hey, here's an idea for a great hit show. So, it's starting out false to begin. It's just weird. And then it was this whole thing where they went into the documentary saying that, along the same lines as America's Top Model, they were trying to present characters. They weren't trying to present the process of actually losing weight and showcasing people who wanted to change their lives. Case in point, there was one woman on there. There were two women. And this first woman, and she was part of the couple. Where is your dad? Oh, Gary, I'm in here. But it's okay. She was part of the couples. And so her teammate, it was this whole thing where, case in point, that it was a juxtaposition where it made it seem as if she wasn't as motivated as her other teammate, and she was the reason for them to be eliminated. That's one point. And so there was another contestant who she said that she was a New York cop, a female cop, and she was talking about her whole story of what she experienced as a female cop. And then she also went in and talked about the aspects of what it was like to be, on the front line or be on ground zero. And that, for y'all who pretty much the genre, people who listen to me in age group, they understand what ground zero means. But for, younger people, what that means is 9/11. And so 9/11, what 9/11 was, it was a horrible event of terrorism, attack on American values there. And that was the day when the Twin Towers fell down and just massive destruction in New York. And so she went on and she talked about how when she was going through that she had unfortunately been ejected, from a cop car, and she hurt her back. And so, with her, it's kind of implied, but, everybody has different perspectives when they get injured like that or what have you, or get, injured, physical injury in general, about the aspects of not being able to do the things that you normally could do. And so because of that resulted in her to gain a lot of weight. And so she wanted to do something, out of the ordinary in order to motivate her to get back in shape. And so, New York is a hub for entertainment. And so she heard about that there was this show, and she was trying out for the show, The Biggest Loser. And so out of that, she did, campy things, and so did the other contestant with the couples. They did to buy their way on to be contestants. And she happened to be, they selected her. And so she thought that she was, being doing her due diligence and taking her part, which any normal person would do. That was that is their self motivated too, and they actually want to change their lives. And she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm already on a heart smart diet, and I'm starting to be more active, and I'm losing weight, and I want y'all to know that." And so this is what the response were for the producers. Say, "Hey, no, you actually need to gain more weight. So, this would be, better ratings and marketing, so we can tell a certain story, right?" And so this was going on a lot through the series, where they were trying to pretty much present a stereotype of other aspects of being heavy, being the aspects of diet and exercise, and what is perceived as a stereotype out of that. When as I was mentioning, there was really actually people on there who wanted to change their lives. And so personally, I it's just one of those things where it's unfortunate. You should see the underlining and take it, in retrospect here with, when you go back and look at it in the grand scheme of everything. Of course, when you want to do something different and you want to find a way out, and you think and you putting your trust into it, it's unfortunate you can't really do it when it comes to cases like this, because this is, again, Hollywood, and so nothing is all what it seems. And I'm going to end on this and transition to this, and that was a part of a lot of problems when it comes to shows like this, and how this relates to self-improvement. And then also, I'm going to end on this note talking about extreme home makeover, and there's other stuff that I can say for another episode, but I'm going to touch briefly on it here because I think it's really apropos to the subject matter. So I'll be right back. Come on, baby. Yeah, it's okay. Come on. Go inside. All right, so extreme home makeover is very relatable to this. So, Mary, how can it be relatable? One has to do with weight loss. One has to do with home, improving your home. Well, the way it's set up is similar in how, for the people who really are in it, to have improved their life, to structure, their home and make a better comforting environment for their families and themselves. They go on the hopes that the best way to do that and being creative and put themselves out there is through means of television. And unfortunately, there's a lot of players at hand to exploit that. And that unfortunately happens when it comes to desperate situations. Because the reason why I say this and how this relates to The Biggest Loser is this one case in Extreme Home Makeover. So there was a ton of cases and kind of examples where it was horrible, the crap that they did. So there was this one home where the son, if I'm not mistaken, the son was handicapped, and all of the implements that they put in the house to make it, where the wheelchair ramp to make it accessible for the child to where he can have more comfort at his home, they had to pay out, the mom had to pay out of the butt as far as property taxes, to the point where, she couldn't even pay the mortgage anymore. And so, and it was a lot of chop jobs, rush jobs, and they were just in for the smoke and mirrors. They weren't actually there to improve these people's lives. And that's unfortunate with the details and the examples that was going on in The Biggest Loser. And then it's unfortunate when, people like Julian Michaels and there was the doctor on there who had their best interest in mind. They said, no, hey, look, we want to sideline y'all. And so, because we want to put our agenda first. And that's something to think about when it comes to subject matters of this case. So I would like to know your thoughts, and feel free to reach out. And the best way to do that is through email and, of course, YouTube. And I'll rephrase that again. Y'all, I appreciate all y'all, and I'm glad that I'm at the point where I can promote my show. So take a gander on at my ad on the Paramount Plus app. And as I said, when you hear an ad that has to do talking about the harboring light, that's me. All right, so tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. Bye-bye for now.